Hey everybody, I'm Tommy and you're on the boat. What's happening? Glad that you were here. I'm sorry. You were on the lifeboat. Sorry. My back is freaking killing me, man. I'll be really honest. My back is giving me the business. Jason P, Snake, Marcy, how are you? Good to see you. Chicken Cherry Cola. You enjoyed Casper last night? Well, that just sounds wrong. No, that was a good show, wasn't it? Jean Marie. Thank you, Jean. I really appreciate you. Jacqueline T. By the way, you look great in green. Jackie T. Change the heat. That would be the Johnny Scoville. Incarnasol. Good to see you. Truth Finder. What's happening? Kestrel. Good to see you, sister. D. Share. Lisa Trimble. How are you, Lisa? Yeah, I know. I'm having one of those days myself. Kestrel. Mark Albert. Albits. Smart Albits. Good to see you, Mark. Whoopee. What's happening? James Collins cares, and he does. Darth Mr. Yeah, I know. But you are Darth, and you are Mr. Mother Bird, how are you? Bill Herrera. Well, we're glad you're here. We're excited to have you. Welcome to the family. Renee B, Allison Metcalf Palumbo, good to see you. Miss Tiny Tornado, 2 for 2. Holy hell. From Clearwater, gotta love 2 for 2. Mark Hardman, it's an honor. Noel Leland, good to see you. Made a live. I love that. I really do. M. Pocus, not to be confused with Hocus. Debbie Zito, Dennis and brother. How are you, man? Good to see you, Dennis N. I'm glad that you're here, man. I really am. Nurse Not. Nurse Nat. Nurse Not. Natalie, good to have you here. Rachel, True Crime Nuts here. Malvakai. Chili, I'll tell you what, Chili Karen. Sherry LeBron, whine a little bit more. I'm glad you're here. Meredith Wynn, good to see you. I'm going to be pissing and moaning. I'm warning everybody right now. And not because of my back, although that's killing me too. AJ, glad you're here. Hey, Marie. Betters. Sarah. See, now that's how you do it, man. You just knock everybody out at once. Well played. Well played. Rhonda, glad that you were here. My brother got that moose joke. Kim is Blue, how are you? Barbara Aldrich is here. How are you, my friend? Yeah, I have no idea, but we'll just put that up there. Hey, all right. All right. Without feathers. I prefer birds without feathers. My therapeutic life. You caught another live. Right place, right time. It's almost every night here at this place and this time. Ian Wallace, how are you? Hey, Pam. All right, so let's get this thing underway, shall we? First of all, you know what the most important part of this story is? So the Mark Agnifilo has come out and he has filed a letter with the court. I'm going to paraphrase this thing because it's disgusting and I'm not reading it, right? It's disgusting and I'm not reading it. So I will paraphrase what this jackwagon has said. He has come out and he's filed a paper to say, hey, Your Honor, we checked out the freak off tapes. There's 8 of them, I think. We checked out these freak off tapes and you know what we see? Consensual sex. We see people having sex, and she's doing most of the ordering, kind of dominant in the whole thing. And she looks like she's having a really great time. You want to talk about tone deaf like a mother? I understand you're getting paid a lot of money. Bobby Jean, how are you? I get you're getting paid a lot of money, but you want to talk about tone deaf in 2025? She looks like she's having a good time. Maybe run that tape next to the one of what happens when she doesn't do what she's told. Right? Yeah, she's pretending to have a good time. He's making a film. I mean, holy hell, how hard is this? He's making a film. That's what this dude does, right? That's what this whole freak off thing is alleged. That he sets all of this up because he is an artiste. He wants the candles put in a specific place to make sure he gets the gleam off of the sex machine that is banging his girl for him, right? Literally, people. He's got machines that are a piston-driven sex device to beat this girl up with. This is a sick cat, right? However, his attorney, this isn't an accident. See, what happened is the judge, Aram Subramanian, came out and said a while back, and who asked for this, right? Who asked for this? The defense asked for this, right? But they wanted a gag order. They wanted nothing coming out. There wasn't going to be any talk. Nothing's going to get leaked this way, right? Now, he wants to get this evidence out so that we can talk about it. He wants the internet talking about this, right? But he can't go out and hold a press conference on the front steps of the court like he did in the first 4 days that he was there because the judge said ixnay on all that shat. Okay. So what's he doing now? Now he's getting around the rules, right? By filing with the court. And what does he do in the filing? He describes the tapes he can't talk about. Now, he could have sealed that, and that would have probably kept to the letter of what the judge had asked him to do, which is shut his big cake hole, right? Especially when it comes to the crimes associated with this freak off stuff. He doesn't want the victims re-victimized. Duh. And by the way, I'm not trying to crap on any other content creators, right? I'm not. But there are a lot of people doing a lot of talking about how Diddy got a laptop, right? There's obviously people getting paid off. If this dude's got a laptop in jail, he's getting paid off. Let me explain the feds a little bit differently than the state, right? This isn't the first cat I've seen get a laptop. It's not. In fact, I got one. And I promise you, I wasn't sitting, in tall cotton with a crap load of money. I wasn't paying anybody off. What I had was, I was given a computer that you could not access the internet with, right? You couldn't do shite except look at my discovery. And I'll be honest, the novelty wore off about the first 3 hours I had it, and I never played with it again. I gave it back to the attorney that I was going to end up marrying at another time or whatever. But this happens all the time. What do you think they're going to do? Drive a Ryder truck up to the cell and go, here's 17 million pages of evidence. We printed off every single photo, right? We printed off all of the photos so that you can peruse them. The guy has to be able to look at his discovery, whether we like that or not. And when you got 100 freaking terabytes of it, how do you think they're going to deliver that? That's more than the Library of Congress. I'm not making that up. You can look it up. Library of Congress has an estimated 27 terabytes of information in it, right? They're estimating this case is going to be over 100 terabytes of information, but Diddy shouldn't be able to get that on a laptop. Look, the laptop ain't surfing the web. He's not going to be able to use this laptop for things that you think they're going to be able to use it for. Hello, Reese. That's my fiance, if you're not watching or if you're not familiar. That is the betrothed to be. Glad that you are here, Reese. It is always an honor when you stop by the lifeboat. Absolutely love and adore you, and your hair looked fantastic today. I was hoping you weren't going to put it up. It looked just beautiful. Are they not drunk on alcohol and drugs so that they do exactly what he wants them to do? Yeah, well, that's part of it. Now, he says, Agnifilo says, or Agnifilo, or what the Agnifilo said in his statement, it's obvious from the videos that nobody there is drugged or extremely intoxicated. Now, I want to tell you something. I'm a stone cold junkie. Okay? I am a stone cold junkie. I'd like to get a look at those. I don't think Mark Agnifilo spent a lot of time doing G. I don't think he's probably spent a lot of time doing anything, right? Well, he's a lawyer. He's probably puffed a little Bolivian marching powder. I've never met an attorney that didn't do a little blow, right? I haven't. It's a substance they seem to dig. But I promise you, right? I promise you that Agnifilo is playing a game here that is dangerous as hell. You run the risk of pissing off this judge, number one, and you're going to piss off any kind of a jury pool that's going to be coming in. You know why? Because let me explain to you, because this is going to, I hope my girlfriend is, my fiance is still here, because this comes back to everything that we're doing currently, right? When we talk about human tea, right? We get this vision in our head of the people coming across the southern border, and that is legit human tea, right? They grab people and sell them. That is human tea. Make no mistake, right? And when you see these massage parlors with happy endings, none of those people are ever American, and they're usually here working off the fact that somebody got them here, and that is human tea. But if you trick, you entice, or you coerce the person to get where they're going, then it's human tea. So if you're enticing them with a paycheck to come out and bang every single guy that calls himself a jester, it's human tea. Ding, 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 ding. Doesn't matter if these people are willing participants, because a willing participant is still being trafficked if they are being enticed, if they are being threatened, or if they are being coerced. Payment, that's an enticement, right? And the idea that if you don't do what we ask you to do, which, by the way, includes banging every single guy here or taking on these two sex workers or whatever the hell goes on, if you don't do what I ask you to do, I end your career. You no longer can pay the bills. I mean, why is this difficult? Honest to God, we've been talking about this for months. And they bring experts on. By the way, Law and Crime Network, I don't care. They bring an expert on, and this attorney comes on and says, and weighs in on it. Now, this is a dude, I'm watching this guy. This is the same pundit that came on and said, oh, I guarantee you that he's getting bail. When Monday rolls around, they're letting him out. You could tell by the questions that the judge was asking. Remember, I came on that night. I said, that dude's a jackwagon and he ain't getting bail. I don't know. I mean, law school, he's probably a lot smarter than I am, whatever. But I'm a convict and I'm telling you that dude ain't getting bail. What this guy's doing is covering his bases. And of course, with all due respect, I'm not trying to sound cool, but I was right and he was wrong. And now he's going off about, he really seems to believe that these, and I know you got to weigh in on the defense side or whatever, but you could do it with class, right? I could say right now, I could take the other side and go, well, it's going to be the defense's job to try to prove that the images people seeing on these tapes are actually consensual. And that's going to be difficult to do when you start to bring in people who say, yeah, I watched him punch her in the stomach as hard as I could. I want to tell you something. Have you ever been punched in the stomach? I have, right? On more than one occasion, I have been punched in the stomach as hard as somebody could hit me. It takes days to get over getting hit hard in the stomach. It killed Houdini, right? That's how Houdini died. But at a table full of big executives, including Usher and Jimmy Iovine and all kinds of big names in the music industry, Sean Combs allegedly doubled Cassie Ventura over with a shot to the stomach that she took the rest of the night to heal from. It's horrific. But we're supposed to listen to these asshats because they went to college for 3 years after college, right, to get a law degree. With all due respect, I've slept with a few. I've never been wildly impressed with attorneys. I'm sorry, right? In terms of their intellectual prowess, they're great at memorizing things, right? And not for nothing, so am I. And maybe I memorized a bunch of other stuff, right? But if you can't see that this is coercion, you know, one of the other things that Agnifilo the genius said in this letter, and again, this entire letter is akin to saying stuff like, "Did she have on a miniskirt? I mean, she was wearing pumps, right? Were her tits hanging out? Because she was probably asking for this." It's that kind of letter, right? That's the tenor of this letter. And he goes on to say, if this was so traumatic, and if this was SA, why in the name of God would this woman save this in her phone? This is the argument from this Cro-Magnon whose wife allegedly, right, deals with nothing but human tea. How the hell did they go home and have a conversation after he writes this letter? And make no mistake, people, this letter was an end around so that he could get into the press damaging crap about Cassie Ventura that was never supposed to be let out. This stupid ass theory of his should have been done in a courtroom with nobody listening. You can have this dumb theory, right? But the judge said, don't share your dumb theories with the public. You think he filed this letter because he really wanted to get to the judge? Because I promise you that's not the case. I like that too. That's way better. Hey, now we have Casper, we got Johnny, we have the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in here at the same time. And if you don't know what that means, then you might want to stick around. Because the next batch of freaks that we're going after personally. We can't do a whole lot on the Sean Combs thing. I can comment on it till the end of time, and I'm going to. And I'm probably going to try to pull out some angles that people aren't talking about enough. Like why this guy filed this letter. Because this letter had nothing to do with the court case. This letter was so that I would talk about this tonight. I mean, he didn't target me personally. But he wants me talking about it. He wants Casper talking about it. He wants Law and Crime Network talking about it. He wants the Atwood channel talking about it. He's leaking stuff to the public after there's been a gag order that says you can't leak stuff to the public. And he's doing it. Now, I want to tell you something. Judge Subramanian, right? The genius that said, oh, he's getting out on bail. You can tell by the questions. I got news for all of those pundits. This judge is a by the book kind of cat. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear him go in there and say, hey, were you trying to do an end around on me, Jack? Were you trying to get this out into the public after I already did a gag order? Because this ain't cool, right? The quiblets. Lady Scoville's got a really nice name, ring to it, doesn't it? Sorry. Well, allegedly, it's 35 million. The newest number that has come out allegedly is 35 million. Hold on. Thank you, Gypsy Soul. Allegedly, it's 35 million. And I'll tell you something. If you don't think there's a few book deals and some other things that are in the works, we don't have to worry financially about Cassie. But there is a very, very interesting conversation that happens in prison cells anytime you get some people that are pretty sharp. Right? Anytime you get somebody like Casper and I sit in the cell, we have this conversation. I've had this conversation with every intelligent inmate I've ever done time with, right? And the question is, would you do 1 year after your sentence was over? How much money would it cost? So your sentence is up on January 1. And if they came to you and said, how much to do 1 more year? And you'll hear people who are not burdened by deep thought, or they're right around the 18 or 19 years old, and they'll say crap like, 100 grand to do it. And then you run into guys who are in their 40s and 50s and they've done a little time and they'd say, I wouldn't do it for $1 million. Ain't no way in hell I'd do a year in prison for $1 million. I wouldn't. With what after getting out and seeing what it's like to be on the street sober, right? Ain't no way in hell I would do a year in prison for $1 million. I just wouldn't do it. Prison is friggin' awful. It's the worst place in the world, right? Well, Cassie Ventura spent more than a decade being abused by this guy who would pick up the phone and say, call some SMEX workers. I want to watch you abused. Now, he may not have worded it that way. He may have called up and said, hey, it's time for a freak off. That's what she alleges. That he would call up and say, I'm starting to feel it. It's time for a freak off. Paint your fingernails white because you like the contrast of the white fingernails. And then you go out and hire the people that are going to abuse you. You take care of all of the details and all that. It's not an accident, people, right? This is because it's going to look like she was setting it up. If he ever got busted, this guy's a thinker. He's a piece of shit, but he's a thinker, right? He's instantly got a bit of an alibi, right? I mean, you can see where he's going with that. Hey, she booked this stuff herself. Vomiting the whole time, according to her journals and everything else. As soon as she found out that this was happening, right, she would instantly start to go through the process, man. No one is made for prison. No one is made for prison. Honestly, there aren't that many people. There are some people that are made for prison. I'm lying, but yeah. Yeah, I don't think too many people are made for it. I really hope that there aren't that many. But this whole tact that this lawyer took today is about the scummiest crap that has happened since this trial started, or since the process of this trial started. You understand that? Do you have any idea how scummy what this dude just did was? Now, to the court's credit, a grip of what you can pull off has been redacted. Now, what hasn't been redacted is foul. I would imagine the redacted part are the details of the sexual escapades. Now, I don't know who redacted it. I don't think Agnifilo redacted his own thing. I don't know. But just the act of redacting it. As I'm reading this thing, I'm thinking to myself, damn, I wonder what's redacted. And I started, and I'm on her side, but I started painting pictures in my head of, well, if they're arguing that she's into this, I wonder if it's pretty freaking effective because I'm on the good side, right? This guy's a scumbag, but he's pretty good at what he does. This was a full-on play. This had nothing to do with this court case. I promise you. This was him getting around the rule that the judge said about we're not talking to anybody. We don't want this stuff getting out there, right? But F around and find out, because this, you remember when Agnifilo, this whole fiasco went on when they came in and raided MDC Brooklyn, and they went in and took pictures of all the stuff for Diddy and all of that. And Agnifilo showed up and there was this whole conversation, and the judge says, hey, you represent something to me as factual. It damn better be factual, right? He dressed him down in a really, really big way. I don't believe for a second that he's not going to get dressed down again. I think he is going to be dancing on the edge of of getting censured or getting, I mean, I think what he's doing is probably, it's unethical as shit. I don't know whether or not it's illegal, but it's super unethical. This was his ability to trash a victim, right? By filing this frivolous BS letter to the judge instead of going out to the press and saying, hey, I've seen those videos and they're all BS. It looks like he's into it. That's all he wanted from this letter. That's it. You think the judge is going to read that letter and go, huh, well, he saw some videos and it looks consensual. All right, people, wrap it up. Let's go home. This is a wrap, right? Apparently she's into it. Honestly, what's the purpose of this letter? He can't behave. So the newest lawsuit for the diddler, by the way, thank you so much. I really appreciate you, D-Share. He can't. He can't. And here's my theory. Hearing this? Theory. He couldn't behave, right? So the people that handled this dude got rid of this dude. That's my absolute firm belief, and it's always going to be. He got away with this for as long as he got away with it because he had people to ensure that he could get away with it. And I know that when you think about that the first time, you go, why in God's name would a bunch of rich white dudes protect a black dude from the ghetto, which, by the way, he's not from the ghetto, but, you know, why would they be protecting this dude? Because this dude's a cash cow. What do you think Sean John was cranking out? What he did for Diageo, and more specifically, what he did for Ciroc vodka, that he didn't come up with Ciroc. You understand that? That was a product line that they already had, and Diddy kind of liked the name, but he wanted to promote the vodka, and it sort of became this thing where everybody assumed it was Diddy's. He was just repping it, but he was repping it well to the tune of about $1 billion. That wasn't enough, so he sued them. And if you don't think that those guys who, it was either 20 or 30% of that company is owned by BlackRock. You don't think they were following Diddy around protecting that investment? We're talking about billions and billions of dollars. If you paid that fool $1 billion, what do you think it generated? You guys have had an hourly wage job, right? If they're paying you $10 an hour, what are you making them? Because they sure as shit aren't getting $10 out of you and handing you $10. Well, if they got $1 billion out of Diddy, you know how much of that crap they sold? Huh? And he's no longer protected. That's obvious, right? The lawsuits are coming from everywhere. New one just broke. This one alleges he picked up a 16-year-old babysitter, offered to give her a ride home, and she probably, like her parents told her, said, it's just around the corner. I don't need any help, but thank you. Of course, this isn't a stranger, right? Man, this is Sean friggin' Puffy Combs. Like, the whole world knows who this is. This isn't a stranger. She got in the car with him. She was a little stressed out. She's in the car with some grown-ass men, right? She's 16. I'm sure she was stressed. They offered her a drink. Sound familiar? And allegedly, she took the drink. The gamma hydroxybutyrate started to kick in, and they drove her to some place where they took turns on her. The people that hung out with this dude, how many of these lawsuits is he passing the people around to? Do you understand? Here's my theory. You want to hear my theory on this? He's not doing it because the people that are with him want to essay that girl. He's doing it because it's one more way to force someone else to do something they don't want to do. For real. I think him sitting there and having the power of going, you assault that girl. You get in on it too. Like, this is a sick freak. You're getting that, right? What person who's going to do this feels the desire to share it about half of the time? That's a sickness. Not that SAN's not, but he gets his rocks off by getting people to do things that are diametrically opposed to their beliefs. You're straight, go down on that dude. For real. You're gay, do the opposite. You don't want to do this, assault that chick. Like, everything this dude does is to break the spirit of the people that he's around. And I got news for you, right? This is a real thing. This is a real thing. You can call it psychic vampirism. You can call it whatever you want, but it seems to be a disease among some people, not everybody. I'm not going to say every rich person hits this point because I don't believe that that's the case. But you look at Oprah and everything that went on in Hawaii and the places that are burning. There are people on this planet that will happily burn out an entire beautiful city because they'd like to buy a little bit more of the property. I'm not alleging that that happened, right? But you know they exist. And Oprah Winfrey sure bought a crap load of land in Maui, didn't she? Her house didn't burn down. She wouldn't even let people into the house, right? For help. She's a princess, isn't it? You get a car, you get a car, you get a car. You're full of shit. You know that she doesn't give those cars out, right? They say, you get the car, man. It's a $38,000 car. It's yours out the gate. But you're going to have to pay a couple of fees. We're going to need tax, title, and license. We're going to need a destination fee. We're going to need, ends up being just under $9K. Who the hell's sitting in an audience so broke they don't have a car, has $9K to hand over? What, are you going to get a bank loan? Well, Oprah said she was going to give me a car. I'd like to borrow $9,000 so that I can buy the car she was going to give me. Geez, it sounds like a hustle I used to do on a telephone. Most people took the buyout. Very few people took the car. Most people instead said, there's a buyout. Yeah. Now, it's not like you get the difference between that and the car. Don't get that messed up. But it's a hell of a soundbite, isn't it? And these people live in a soundbite world. Sean Combs shows up and says, I'm donating $1 million to my former university. Okay? He didn't graduate. I think he was there for a semester. And it was alleged that he was running some kind of a business. He wasn't going to classes or doing any of that stuff. But he attended Howard. So he shows up with this big check that looks like something from Happy Gilmore. Right? It's the kind of check you get when you win a golf tournament. It was a huge ass check. It says $1 million from Bad Boy. Did he pay? No, he just printed a big check, which is freaking genius, right? But you hear people say, the guy's a philanthropist. Where did any of that money go? Find me someplace he actually donated money. He said he did, but he never delivered. You know how you know that? Because Howard University, who gave him an honorary doctorate, took it back. And when they were questioned about it, they said, you know what? Yeah, well, he took back his big check too. He said he was donating $1 million that day and never gave us anything. There has been some content creators outraged. There are prisoners fighting in LA fires for low wages and crappy meals. How do you think the actual firefighting prisoners feel about the deal? They're happier than a pig in mud. Are you kidding? You could take any inmate in the United States, right? 9 out of 10 of them will take that job on 2 seconds notice. They will hop out of bed at midnight and go out and run into the middle of a burning fire to not be in a cell and be happy about it. And that crappy food you're talking about and those ridiculous wages, you know what those wages usually run? $1 an hour, right? But you get the $1 an hour from the time they pick you up until the time you get back to the prison. So you get $24 a day. Now you can go, that's slave labor, Tommy. That is, well, normally they'd be making $19 a month, right? That's normal prison fare. You make about $19 a month. So $24 a day. Those guys will go out and fight that fire for 4 weeks. I realize it's dick to the rest of us, but you go out and put 10 days in and you've made $240. Yeah, right? There's something to that. Those prisoners saying they aren't convicts, that they got to be inmate trolls. No, I'm telling you the truth, man. And I know this. Why? I know this because I was on a fire camp. Like I worked at a fire camp until I got caught smoking smack. But I absolutely could not wait for a fire. And you knew it was going to be hot, and you knew you were sleeping in these things that they tow behind a car, and there's no air conditioning, and then it's crappy conditions. But it ain't prison, right? And I'll tell you what else happens out on those things all the time. Those inmates, the cops will show up and go, hey, you guys chew tobacco? Now, that ain't happening inside, right? But they're out there fighting fire. So they'll go, you guys want to smoke or anything like that? All that's wide open. Now they're not getting drunk. They're not doing anything that's going to make them dangerous. But I promise you, they're lightening up on tobacco and all kinds of other stuff. Those inmates are the happiest people on planet Earth currently. I heard this one. And I got to be honest with you. I don't have any idea where to go on that. So the old lady, what's her name? Jenner. Kris Jenner. Isn't it Chris? What's the old lady's name? Isn't it Kris Jenner? Somebody help me. Well, if it is. So the creepy old lady's got a thing for Diddy. And those two have got a relationship that goes back a really long time. Now, do I think she's going to start going into her pocket to pay off victims? Hell no. I don't personally. But that family is a little bit preoccupied with money. I don't think the Kardashians are giving up a whole lot. You want to hear something really funny? You might not find it funny, man. And now I've already opened my mouth, so I'm gonna stick my foot. But from time to time, I watch Family Guy. I'm not proud of that. I'm really not, because it's a foul ass show. But I do watch Family Guy, and they were talking about Robert Kardashian, and they asked the baby, the baby comment, because they said, "How did Robert Kardashian die?" And the baby said, "Guilt cancer." I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought that was one of the funniest things I ever heard. Kris Jenner's a pimp. Well, if you're suggesting that she'll pimp her daughters out, well, I got to agree with you. Do you know this is no lie, right? It is alleged that they hired focus groups before they decided who they would date. You need fucking care, right? For real. You need a better therapist than I got, and I need a good therapist. Oh, wow. Look at this. That's insane. I live in Louisiana. You get like 10 days of good time for every day working in a hurricane. I will tell you something. So we would get double good time while we were out on the fires. And that is what guys are more interested in than anything else, is the fact that while you're out there fighting that, you are bringing your date towards you, right? You're that number that you got to kill is coming towards you. There's nothing inmates won't do to bring that number towards you. And in the feds, you can't do that. Right? In the feds, there aren't programs that are going to get time off your sentence. They'll lie to you and tell you there are, but there aren't. Right? They'll tell you that RDAP is going to, it's all BS. It's a pipe dream. Right? But in the state, you can do that. And I had a possession of stolen property charge. I went into prison on possession of stolen property. It's in the state I was in, it's weird. You get 2 sentences. So I had a 1 to 3. How you do inside will determine how long you're going to be in there. You could get out in a year, you could get out in 3. And I walked in and the woman said, "Well, if you do this or this, then you could take time off of your sentence. Like you take this program and you lose 7 days off of your sentence, or whatever." And I said, I got a 1 to 3, and she said, "Okay." I said, "How fast can I get out on one of that?" And she said, "The fastest I ever saw anybody get out on a 1 to 3, killing their paper, was 15 months. But they took everything. It's impossible to get on every list." And I found out it ain't impossible, because the inmates are the ones that run those lists. So if you just bought a big old jar of Folgers coffee, you could get your name to the front of every single one of those lists. And I did. And I killed a 36-month sentence. I killed in 13 months, out the door, no paper. That's good stuff. But they don't allow that anyplace else. Relatable Reese says, "I could move any place." Well, I hope you would consult me first. Q is in federal prison because the United States of America, in their wisdom, decided to go after gang violence as a federal offense in certain aspects. Certain crimes get picked up with a Fed enhancement for gang violence stuff. Sorry. Sorry, I'm having a pretty good time reading some of the comments. Tommy, is prison better or worse than jail? Prison is way better than jail for an inmate, right? For the person inside. You don't own anything in jail. Like you might have a little bit of property or whatever, but there's nothing that's yours. When you get to prison, for better or worse, that's your home. So you can begin to buy a wardrobe. It's only going to be sweatpants and things like that. You're not going to, but you can buy you don't have to wear the socks they hand you. Like I bought boxer briefs. I didn't have to put on a pair of boxers that 500 other guys had their boys hanging in. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot that you could do when you get to a yard. You could get a razor and shave your dome instead of having, the stuff that they give you. Yeah, John has been in jail. Jail sucks, man. In jail, you're locked in your cell just about all the time. They might let you out for 2 hours a day to watch TV and take a shower and do whatever. When you get to prison, in the morning, they pop the doors at 5 a.m. And for all intents and purposes, you're out until 9 o'clock at night. They're going to bring you back a couple of times and count you, but you're all day long. You're out in a city of bad men, right? And there's a place to go hang out and shoot pool. There's a place to go get your clothes done. And there's a workshop if you want to go and tinker on stuff or hobbies and things like that. It's a bizarre little world, right? But you have way more action of things that you can do. And more importantly, and I'm just keeping it real, right? You can get drunk. You can get high. You got way better of an opportunity to kind of live the life that most people in there want to live, because the reality is President Reese Scoville. Well, that's got a hell of a name to it. "I fear if I elected her, there would be no living with her. He might deport me. I'm kidding, of course. Do I think the Epstein list will ever be released? I do. I do believe that. And I'll tell you why. I think that what we're seeing right now is like dominoes, right? If Diddy hadn't happened and those three Alexander White brothers from Florida got hemmed up for exactly the same thing that Diddy is being charged with, those fools would have got out on bail. Bank on it. The reason that they're sitting and rotting in jail awaiting their trial, in spite of the fact that they own high-rise apartment buildings, right, and have more money than God, is because the Diddy case has set the table for everything that is going forward. Capiche? It really has. He's got a new 45. There you go. Didn't see that coming, did you? Thought I was going to hit you with a little Black Crows, didn't you? Oh, changed it up on you. You are right on the border of Delmar. Delmar. Hey, you got a gopher? And Carmel Valley. We should get a group together and do something. Well, I like the idea. Kentucky, you say? You know what's really yeah, so listen, here's the thing. With the Epstein case, we all have to, and this is going to sound stupid, and nobody wants to get involved. We want to know. I'm sorry, I have spoken to Q. I've also spoken to Mindy. I spoke to Q, and I mean, he's dying. So he doesn't go to court until Friday. So he knows he's not supposed to know. Hopefully nobody from that office watches my channel, because we got this leaked, and maybe I shouldn't have told the world, and I probably sure as shit shouldn't be, but I don't care. I mean, so he knows already, and he's very, very happy. He said, holy shit, I'm sorry, but I started counting. I think he said it like 15 times. It was so funny because I said, I go, hey, I talked to your attorney. And he goes, yeah, well, what'd she say? And I go, hey, look, man, you know, sometimes these things take a bunch of time. You can't give up hope because you don't win the first time. He's like, yeah, I know, man. He's like, we were good in there. I'm like, but you won, and you're going to get it. And he just went, holy shit. Holy shit. Are you sure? I said, yeah, holy shit. And he just kept repeating it. I'm like, dude, take a deep breath. He's like, I'm breathing fine. Holy shit. And then I said, you know, you might not run the table. You might not win the next one. You know what I mean? We could get in there and they could go, yeah, we're not gonna do that. And then we'd have to just take a different approach and start all over again, you know? But he goes, yeah, we might run the table. He's like, I could be out. And hopefully, you know, hopefully that's what's going to happen. Why hasn't Sean Atwood covered the epidemic of grooming grape gangs in England? I assume you're referring to the Muslim gangs, right? Not trying to get anybody to cancel me, so cut me some slack. But that's exactly what is alleged, right? That there are Muslim gangs that are over here and over there and doing this. Well, it's really hard to have that kind of conversation on a YouTube channel without getting demonetized, right? And I don't know that is the issue with the Atwood program. I have never talked about that ever with Mr. Atwood. After I do, I will get back to you on that. I know how he feels about such things, so I doubt he's ducking it, right? If you know anything about the Atwood channel, it got taken down on more than one occasion. This is a dude that will chase a story down no matter what. I respect the crap out of that about him. He's lost his channel. Renee B says Sean has covered it. Well, there you go. See that? Question. Am I an asshole? A predator in jail got my address and he keeps writing me creepy letters. Must have stolen it. I wrote him to stop. It didn't, so I notified the prison. No. Are you an asshole? God, no. If you ask the guy to stop and the dude continues, report him. He's a creep. Listen, everybody pay attention. Casper, back me up on this thing. Cops should be called, right, for creeps. That's why cops are there. You know, if you think your neighbor's making moonshine in his backyard, leave him alone. If your neighbor's growing 4 pot plants in their backyard, leave them alone, right? There are things that just aren't worth getting involved in because who's getting hurt, right? This guy's a creep. Predators and creeps are the people cops were invented to get rid of. Capiche? No, you definitely You definitely want to. You got a groper. Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm upset Cyndi Lauper is supposedly on that Epstein list. All right, I got one for you. Are you ready? This is important. This is super, super important. Let's say that tomorrow, myself or anybody you like as a content creator, Sean Atwood, myself, my fiance, my brother, pick somebody. If tomorrow they went, boy, that turns out Tommy Scoville is the world's biggest predator. He did this, this, and this, and he's had this operation that's been running for so long. They're going to look at every single person I ever made a video with. They're going to look at every single person I ever went to dinner with. They're going to look at every single person going back to high school that there's a photo of me with my arm around. Now, let's say it's Johnny Scoville. You got any idea how many people have taken a selfie with my brother? For real. Like, you go to one of these festivals, it's a freak show. He does 400 of them in a day. He doesn't know one of those people, right? And he's an L-list celebrity? No offense. But you know what I'm saying? He's not Brad Pitt. He's not Diddy. You got any idea how many people ended up on Epstein's island that weren't there for what you think they were there for? I'm going to give you one example. He flew in a bunch of scientists, right? And he makes this big thing that he's bringing the smartest minds in the world together to discuss certain issues. Now, if you're that scientist, right, including Stephen Hawking, do you realize Stephen Hawking's reputation got trashed? That dude had ALS. He sat in a wheelchair and couldn't move. He was going down there to what? Watch? I'm sorry, I don't buy any of that shit. That dude was going down there because he thought he was doing math. And you know what? That's all they did. This guy tried so hard to legitimize his operation by having anybody he could have around. So there's going to be a bunch of people that they say went to that island that you're going to hate. And you're going to go, yeah, I knew that guy was a scumbag. And then there are going to be a bunch of people on that island that you love. And you're going to go, I think that person was probably just. By the way, there's a difference between being on his jet and being on that island. You understand? There's a huge difference between being on that island and being on that jet. And the reason is he had an Air Force. I think it was either 3 or 4 jets that this guy had access to. And one of his favorite things to do was to give his jet to anyone famous. So you're at a rock festival or you're at a whatever, right? Something in Hollywood. And Bruce Willis says, yeah, I'm heading to the airport. Screw the airport. Where do you live? What, Montana? My jet's going. You and your family get on. Have a good time. Now, I bet those jets were wired for sound. Guaranteed. I bet they were listening to everything, watching everything. But he put so many people. I saw a person interviewed that said, yeah, I got a ride home on his jet. Never met him. He wasn't even on it. But he said, there's 9 people getting on that thing. You want to fly in a private jet? Who's going to say no to that? No one knew who this guy was, right? He wasn't a weirdo yet. So if he said, hey, would you like to take? Nah, I'll take Southwest. Good looking out though, bro. I was kind of holding out for those little, pretzel things, the twists that they're giving out. They got this new Maui flavor. It's pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie to you. Pretty damn good. You know what I'm saying? Bill Gates was friendly with Epstein. I believe he was. But I could spend the next 2 hours talking about what a dirtbag I think that dude is. For real. You can do a little research on him. He's a very interesting cat to research. And his father is even more of an interesting cat to research. You want to live in Dallas? Quibs? Is Texas hotter than Arizona? The only place hotter than Arizona that I am aware of is hell. However, Arizona is only hotter than hell a couple of months a year. In fact, today was one of those days that you could go outside in a sweatshirt, right? And just walk around and it felt like, I don't know, it was perfect. Today was the most perfect day. No, I'm sorry. And I never, look, but Andy P, no, that's not right. That's not right. Okay. So the flights that went his island, every one of those flights, the planes were referred to as the Lolita Express because of where the flights were going. But every one of his planes at one time or another has been called the Lolita Express. It's kind of like how Air Force One If the president is on it, it's Air Force One. He could be on a Cessna. It becomes Air Force One when the president steps on it. When those assholes started flying to that pedo island, then that plane was the Lolita Express. If that plane was going from San Francisco to Boston, nobody was calling it the Lolita Express. It was just a form of transportation to get people on a list. Honestly, I mean, I think this was an information gathering. Like what these people were doing was trying to get dirt on people, right? If you believe that, and if you think there's some big, huge entity or agency, right, that is funding this, well, then this makes a ton of sense, doesn't it? Anybody from Hollywood, you can get on your plane for 4 hours and record them, give it to them, especially if you're not paying for it. You're none of this is coming out of your pocket. You do realize this guy had no income. Before he met Les Wexner, he was broke. He had nothing. Then he's got jets, 6 properties, a beautiful home in New York, and an island, right? Because who doesn't have that? Previous job, substitute teacher. Tell you what, man, you talk about upwardly mobile, huh? Damn, that's doing it right. That is doing it right. Ew. Really? You know, this is you know what the wildest question about this is? Who in God's name would like to spend a couple of weeks with your ex-girlfriend? I'd rather suck on a tailpipe. I'm sorry, right? There's a reason she would be my ex-girlfriend. You know, if she was a decent person to hang out with, I'd probably still be with her. So the gray area comes into play again. That's exactly right. It really, right? The gray area takes over. And that's this, it's going to be this way a lot. And it's going to be this way with Diddy. I did this when I was with Quibs. Baby, are you still here? I was showing this to Quibs when the two of us were in Bug Tussle. I pulled up the computer and I said, I can show you some images from a Diddy party. Now, I ain't showing you a freak off, right? You're not going to see those images, but I can show you pictures. Now, how could there be cameras at a Diddy party? That doesn't make any sense. If you're seeing a picture of someone at a Diddy party, they're not at a Diddy party, right? Because the Diddy party takes place where there aren't any effing cameras. Let's use our domes. So if you're pictured at a Diddy party, your agent, your publicist, your whatever said, hey, man, this is some A-list shit. You want your picture on page 6, right? In New York, if you're from New York, you know. You want your picture in the paper? You want to elevate your status? Go get your picture taken at the Diddy party. Now, there were people, I promise, this happens every day. I did it in LA. In fact, I got a picture of here, but I don't want to show you the person in the picture. Anyway, it's this stupid red carpet crap. And you show up, you walk in, and they've got a red carpet. And then right behind it, they've got like cardboard, right, with some nice stuff on the front that says Ciroc, or it says Motown, or it says Bad Boy Productions. And then it will say Diddy's 40th birthday. And when we have birthday parties, someone might sign a little there. When you're that famous, every A-lister in the country shows up and they go like this. They put their arm around Diddy. They take the picture. They go and get in their limo and drive off. Right? 2 hours later, he sends everybody home. The kids are tucked in bed, and then people's clothing starts coming off, and they start spraying oil all over everybody, right? Oil laced with gamma hydroxybutyric acid. That's allegedly what happens. But make no mistake, even the people that went to these parties said they're tame as hell. I don't see anything wild at these parties. That's because you didn't get to the party. You got to the photo op. You were where people were walking around. Howard Stern talked about this, right? Howard Stern said, I went to a Diddy party. I didn't see anything. Right? I couldn't even get food. They were walking around handing out champagne, but there wasn't even any food. And he said, and I got stuck in the backyard. I couldn't even get out of the backyard. Well, of course you couldn't. You don't have big boobs, right? You didn't have your ass hanging out. They didn't want to assault you. Why would you have gotten into the back? I have to wonder, are the fires in LA being used to cover up Diddy type stuff? I think that the easiest solution, and this is just an opinion, but when there's that much devastation, if you were just looking to cover something up, you could really surgically go in and take out a house, right? They're taking out cities. Anytime this happens, now they have already said that arson is suspected in this. They've already arrested a couple of people, right? Now, sometimes that's really convenient. And those kind of convenient arrests, the kind that happen within 3 or 4 days that shut everybody up, especially if there's anything politically motivated to the arrest. And what they're saying is that these people were here illegally, and they could be, right? I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying that's kind of convenient. Good timing to get the whole world to hate people that are coming across that border illegally, right? That's super convenient. And I'll just be honest. I've never put that much faith in the LAPD, right? It's kind of freaky that they have figured this out as fast as they have, right? I have a struggle believing that. None of Diddy's homes burned. As of the last time I looked, there's a ton of videos that say that they have. They have not, right? They just have not. You got to take my word for that. I think you follow the money. When an entire city burns down, like look at what happened in Maui. You know the land grab that's going on for all of that place, for all of those properties that have been burned down? There aren't people there buying lots. There are people there buying 10 lots. And they're going to put a much bigger house on it. It's a land grab, right? This was Malibu. Think about Malibu for a second, right? Malibu is, if you said to anybody that's kind of up and coming, like if you're an artist, if you're a rock star, if you're a YouTuber, if you're anybody, and they said, yeah, pick a house anywhere in the US, you're probably going to say something like, I mean, if you're trying to be Ginchy, you're going to say something like the Hamptons, or you're going to say something like, like to live in Malibu. You know, have one of those houses from like 2.5 Men where you step out on your porch and you look out at the ocean and just beautiful, right? But nobody can build there, right? Malibu's on lock, has been forever. All of those homes have been there. There's no place else to put anything. You know what to do good there? Burn that thing to the ground. Let's see who can afford to rebuild and who can't. And then the rich guys will go in there and they'll buy up bunches of it. Right? And now you can put a 36-bedroom estate hanging on the side of the cliff in Malibu. They're going to build some properties that like nothing anyone has ever seen on planet Earth. I think it's a cash grab. That's what I think. I think it's a land grab. I think they were going after it for cash. I can't prove that. It's just a theory. This boat is my salvation. I'd be dead without it. Well, wow, what an incredible thing to say. Christy Hughes, we're really happy you're here. M. Polka says, I love Maui. I'm a fan too. Joe Mama. So listen, this is my advice. Don't tell me you hate Facebook, because I hate Facebook more than anybody hates Facebook, except maybe Johnny Scoville, who really hates Facebook. But what I would do is this. Go over to Facebook, join the Lifeboat group page on Facebook, and then just start. That's where you can go and you can start private messaging people. Because if we start handing out numbers here, bad things happen because thousands of people are going to see this. And you don't want thousands of people contacting you. That would suck. Or maybe you'd be into that. I would not. That would suck for me really badly. Oh, insurance companies are being horrible? Shocker. Insurance companies suck. Across the board, they do. Malibu, called Malibu because Mel Gibson owns half of it, and Pacific Palisades are two of the richest places. Mel Gibson owns half of Malibu? I'm going to have to chase that down. I really am. I'm going to have to chase that down because that's really, I didn't think that he was that successful, if you want to know the truth, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, he's had a good career, but no, those properties are so much money. Hold on, people. Just give me 1 second. Oh, that's so cool. Thoughts on how nervous we should be that Diddy may have any chance of winning the tape? BS. If I missed your thoughts, sorry. No, you're all right. That letter that was filed has nothing to do with them trying to win that. I'm sorry, but that's not what that was about. Trust me on this one. Remember when I came here and said, hey, look, man, that baby oil's got G in it? Go look at how long it was before Law and Crime came out with that story after that. It was 3 weeks, man. I'm not kidding, right? They're usually, the bigger channels are usually nervous, and I end up saying things. So look, here's the bottom line. That letter was written because he wants to be able to influence the whole world's talking about what a scumbag Diddy is, right? And there's a lawyer who is not under a gag order that can come out and talk about every single case, right? You got Busby, and Busby can come out firing and talking about stuff. And every time a new case comes out, we get the print out. Agnifilo, he requested it himself, genius, but Agnifalo's under a gag order, right? So this was his way to trash Cassie Ventura without going and standing on the steps and going, hey, I watched all those tapes. And you know what it looks like to me? Looks like she was into it, y'all. Looks like she was into it. For real. I mean, I think she got off. I'm not playing. It's that friggin' offensive, right? But you couldn't say that on the steps of the courthouse. But if you file, right, the exact same thing, the judge is going to go, yeah, it's ridiculous. But the whole world read it. This was the 2025 version of, was she wearing a miniskirt? Huh? What was she wearing? Because she might have been asking for it. Yeah, it's a 2025 version of that. But the only way that he could get that out into the zeitgeist was to file, because he can't go out and just announce it. He doesn't have a YouTube channel, and he's under a gag order. Scooby says, Relatable Reese, I'm fangirling out. I love your channel, but I just lurk. Congratulations, by the way. I've been rooting for you and Tommy since 2 New Years ago. You guys were wearing fur coats. I remember that day. But it has been 1 year. It's been 2 New Years, but it has been 1 year. We celebrated our 1 year anniversary on New Year's. So somebody asked earlier, and I got sidetracked. But you hear people all the time talk about it being frustrated, and there's nothing that we can do, right? Blah blah blah. You can do things. Thank you so much, Christy Hughes. You can do things, right? You can write to political people. No one wants to get involved. No one really does. We like to talk about this stuff, right? We really do. We like to talk about the stuff, but there are times when laws need to be changed, and there are times when people need to be held accountable. And the only way that we're going to do that is if we actually reach out to people in political power. For instance, right? Are we ever going to see the Epstein tapes? If you write to your congressman, right? You write to your senator, whatever. You get involved and you start to write and you start to say things like, maybe you can explain to me how a woman is sitting in prison for selling children, but she sold them to nobody. Does that make any sense to anybody? If there's not a list of any customers, as much as you hate Ghislaine Maxwell, maybe she needs to get out. Maybe she needs to get out. Thank you so much, Christy Hughes, and thank you, Jim Marie. I really appreciate that. But you see where I'm going with this? She's sitting in prison, and she sold those people to nobody. How's that possible? How's that possible? She's incarcerated for being a pimp. Where are the Johns? If there aren't any Johns, she couldn't have been selling anybody. Now, we know she was selling people, right? So let's get a list of the people you were selling it to, because they're more guilty than she is. Now, don't get me wrong. She's a scumbag. But if there's not people out there to buy CP, then no one will make it. And if there's not people out there trying to buy underage people, then there's not going to be anybody out there to sell them. It's pretty basic supply and demand. Olive Green says, why don't we like Mel Gibson? Well, he's done some anti-Semitic stuff, right? And there's been some drama with some really, he seems to say some really stupid things, and kind of like this fat dude I used to know. He often says these really stupid things while someone's taping him. So Andy P says Maxwell was the mastermind of Epstein. I believe that. I do. I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that. Hey, Deborah, I'm not mad at you for liking Mel Gibson, and I'm not going to try to talk you out of it. You think, oh, no, I don't think she felt guilty for it, Andy P. So do me a favor. Please do me a favor. Somebody, right? Somebody, write in the comment section if you think that maybe Ghislaine Maxwell was working for an agency that might belong to another country, right? You can put the name of the agency in the chat because I'm not going to say it, but I would like everybody to see it. You understand what I'm saying? Somebody help me because I know you know what I'm talking about. There you go. All right. You see Just Jess? Hey, I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm going to stick with my boy on this because he's pretty damn slick and he's usually right. And there has been a lot of growing. I've done more stupid crap than he has. Bank on it. And Casper's done more than both of them. All right. So you guys see the name that starts with an M? Michelle said it. The Collective Confidence said it. Okay. If you go, there's not very many books that have been written about that organization. In fact, I could only find one. Not that people didn't talk about it, but somebody broke ranks. That never happens. But do you know what their motto is? Huh? Let's see if anybody read the same book. Yes, Renee B., that is correct. Do you know what their motto is? Their motto is, by any means necessary. By any means necessary. Which means, if you got to get over on your best friend to get something done, you'll do that. Whatever has to happen by any means necessary. I didn't ask for a person. I asked for an organization. Lady Warrior. Did I say, what is the name of the person? I said, is there a government entity that's from another government? Yeah, I wasn't referring to, anyway. So their motto, above the door and everything else, by any means necessary. So do I think she would feel bad for what she was doing? No, I don't. If she was working for that organization, they are believers. They are big time believers. They are the Israeli nation's version of our Central Intelligence Agency, only our motto isn't by any means necessary, right? It's a little bit different. It is the Collective Confidence kind of I understand too. Listen, by the way, before anybody goes off, right? I don't hate Jews. I don't hate Israel. If you take a map of the Middle East and put it up on the wall, every single place you go to requires an entire hand to cover a third of. As you start covering countries, then you take your pinky and you go like this, and you can cover Israel. And everybody there wants him dead. And there was that pesky 6 million people that they tried to literally eliminate them from planet Earth, right? They were trying to exterminate them. I'd be a little salty myself. And I don't blame them, right? Especially after that ends. And then you got the shit that happened at the Olympics and all of that. I don't blame them for anything that they do. So don't come at me that way. I promise I'm not at all bummed out about that. I'm big fans of their work. I really am. Completely off topic, Tommy, but have you seen Chase Hughes' video on his brain cure? You bet I have. On methylene blue. Yep. It is fascinating. Could it help with chronic traumatic encephalopathy? I have been on a list since the day that video came out. One of you sent me the information on it, and I got a hold of the doctor that he was working with. And it is a very, very difficult process to even get any kind of a consultation with that dude. However, I am going to continue on the waiting list until that happens. I would very much like to research. Now, by way of full disclosure, I have had a couple of other procedures that I have done. And I'm not exactly sure yet how I feel about it. I don't want to come out here and talk about something and get people to go do something that I did that may not be a great idea. If you've been here long enough, you know that I took an experimental medication, signed up for like a trial kind of a thing. And it effed my brain up. It really did. To the point where it almost cost me everything that I care about. And I am going to be going a little, I am stepping a lot lighter these days, right? My life has changed and it means different things to me today than it used to. But it is exciting stuff. And Chase is doing fantastic. And I'm not going to lie to you, I love that dude. I really do. I love that dude. There's his content, everything about him. He is painfully intelligent. He's painfully articulate. And he's just, I don't know, I really like his content. And there aren't that many people that I can say that about. I mean, honestly, outside of the Four Horsemen, I'm not watching anybody these days. And I'm not being a wise ass, right? I used to watch a lot more people, but they periodically, or I should say routinely, do things that just make me go, yeah, maybe I don't want to spend any more time around anybody, right? Except I feel very comfortable watching Casper. I feel really comfortable watching Chase the Heat. And, well, obviously, I'm pretty fond of Relatable Reese. Yeah, I have seen that. And you know what, Renee B? I don't know that I'm shocked, right? And I'll tell you why. It's odd, right? So the Aaron Hernandez killings were gang related, right? So if you're on a high school football team and you're gang banging, chances are you got friends on that team that are gang banging, right? So people, I can't tell you how bad gangs are. CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. It's too many shots to the head. Is what that is. Do 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 do. Lady Warrior, come on, we're good. You're good. We're not. We don't lose any. We don't lose any sleep over any of that. Aaron Hernandez killed himself after going to prison for murder. But yes, he did take his own life. But he was in prison for murder when that happened. Hold on one second. Hey, what's up? You good? You sure? All right, I love you. Are you feeling any better? Good. That's Spanky. So, all right, folks. I'm going to be honest with you. I would love to stay here and answer questions and do this for the next 2 hours. I can't stand up. I mean, I can't keep sitting anymore. I got to stand up. My back is effing killing me. My fiance bought me this cool thing for the chair, and I'm going to have to get one here too because it's man, my back is going through it, and I hate getting off the. I really would like to stay. I just can't. I'm hurting. I'm going to take a walk, Lady Warrior. All right, people. I will talk to all of you on the next one. Between now and then, do me a favor and reach out and try to save somebody. All right. I'm Tommy. Make it a good night.